Jarman slammed the trunk of the old black SUV and looked at his 5 best friends with the same grin that had gotten them into trouble since they were kids. "This is it," he said. 3 days, no work, no excuses. Addu threw his backpack into the back seat first. "Finally! I thought Malshi would cancel again. I'm here, aren't I?" Malshi laughed, adjusting the small first aid kit he refused to travel without. As a physiotherapist, he was used to helping people every day, and his friends never let him forget how difficult it was to get him away from work. Battery pointed at the bag and burst out laughing. "Bro, we're going on a road trip, not opening a clinic!" Everyone laughed except Malshi, who shrugged. "You'll thank me when one of you hurts yourself." Punk jumped onto the hood of the SUV like an action movie hero. "Or when I do something legendary." Kanda rolled his eyes. "Knowing you, it'll be something stupid." "Coming from Kanda?" Battery said with a loud laugh. "The guy whose nickname still makes us laugh." Jarman couldn't stop smiling. "Leave him alone, he'll start pretending he's innocent again." Kanda covered his face. "I've told you 100 times, stop bringing up that old story." "Never!" the whole group shouted together. For a moment, they stood there laughing so hard that people at the gas station turned to look. Jarman didn't care. These weren't just friends. They were brothers. The playlist started blasting through the speakers as they hit the highway. Windows down, warm air rushing in, everyone singing completely off-key. They stopped at tiny roadside diners, challenged each other to silly dares, argued over directions, and laughed until their stomachs hurt. Addu leaned forward from the back seat. "I found something online." "No," Jarman replied immediately. "You haven't even heard it." "I already know it's a bad idea." Addu held up his phone with a huge smile. "An abandoned mountain road. People say there's an old lodge at the end. Nobody goes there anymore." Battery's eyes lit up. "Now that's our kind of adventure." Punk grinned. "I'm in." Kanda frowned. "This sounds like the beginning of a horror movie." Malshi nodded. "I actually agree with Kanda." Jarman looked at the map on Addu's phone. The road was isolated, with almost no traffic and no nearby towns. Every instinct told him to keep driving on the main highway. But when he looked at his friends, all smiling and waiting for his answer, he laughed. "Fine." The SUV turned off the highway onto the narrow mountain road. None of them noticed the weather changing. None of them noticed the old pickup truck parked beneath the trees. And none of them noticed the silent man watching their vehicle disappear into the forest. By nightfall, the road behind them would be gone. Jarman glanced in the rearview mirror as the old highway disappeared behind them. The narrow mountain road twisted through thick pine trees, and the signal bars on everyone's phones dropped to 0. "Great!" Battery groaned, holding up his phone. "No signal. If we get lost, I'm blaming Addu." Addu laughed. "Relax. This is what adventure looks like." Punk leaned out the window, letting the cold mountain air hit his face. "This place is awesome." Kanda folded the paper map he had picked up at the last gas station. "Awesome until the SUV breaks down." Malshi smiled. "If it does, at least all your backs will be in good hands." Battery burst into laughter. "Listen to him. Even on vacation, he's advertising his physiotherapy clinic." The SUV filled with laughter again. As evening approached, they reached a crystal-clear lake surrounded by towering mountains. Jarman pulled over. "We're camping here tonight." Everyone agreed. Battery and Punk struggled to pitch the tents while Addu secretly recorded them on his phone. "If this goes online," Punk warned, "I'm throwing you into the lake." "Only if you can catch me," Addu replied, running away. A few minutes later, Battery slipped on the muddy ground and landed flat on his back. The entire group exploded with laughter. Malshi walked over, trying not to laugh himself. "Don't move." Battery looked worried. "Is it serious?" Malshi gently checked his shoulder before smiling. "No, just your pride." Even Battery laughed. As darkness settled over the mountains, they lit a campfire. The flames danced while everyone shared stories from school, embarrassing moments, and old pranks. Kanda pointed at Jarman. "Remember when you got into a fight because someone called Battery annoying?" Jarman shrugged. "He is annoying, but only we're allowed to say that." Everyone laughed. Battery smiled. "See? That's why we call him Jarman Dog. He barks at everyone who messes with us." Jarman threw a small stick at him. Keep talking. The mood was warm and carefree until Addu noticed something. Guys. Everyone turned. On the opposite side of the lake, a small orange light flickered between the trees. Probably another campsite, Punk said. Then the light disappeared. A few seconds later, it appeared much closer. No one had heard footsteps. No one had seen anyone walking. The 6 friends fell silent. Jarman slowly stood up, his smile gone. Stay here. Ignoring Kanda's warning, he grabbed a flashlight and began walking toward the trees. The beam cut through the darkness. Hello, Jarman called. No answer. Only the wind rustling through the pines. Then, just as he was about to turn back, the flashlight landed on a weathered wooden sign nailed to a tree. It read, Turn back, you are not the first. Before Jarman could say a word, a loud snap echoed from the darkness behind him.
Jarman spun around, raising the flashlight. The beam swept across the trees. Nothing. Only swaying branches and the sound of the wind. Who's there? He shouted. Silence. Back at the campfire, Battery couldn't sit still. I'm not letting him go alone. Punk grabbed a thick branch from the ground. I'm coming to... Kanda sighed. This is exactly why horror movies happen. Malshi picked up the first aid kit out of habit. And this is exactly why I brought this. The 5 friends hurried toward Jarman. When they reached him, they found him staring at the old wooden sign. Turn back, you are not the first. Battery whistled. Well, that's definitely not welcoming. Addu smiled nervously. Maybe someone made it as a prank. Jarman ran his hand over the weathered wood. This sign has been here for years. Punk pointed deeper into the forest. Look, a faint trail led into the trees. The 6 friends exchanged uncertain looks. 5 minutes, Jarman said. We check it out, then we leave. No one argued. The trail was narrow and overgrown. The deeper they walked, the quieter the forest became. There were no birds, no insects, just the crunch of their boots on dry leaves. After several minutes, the trees opened into a small clearing. In the middle stood an old wooden cabin. Its windows were broken. The porch sagged. A rusty pickup truck sat nearby, covered in dust. Battery whispered, who would live way out here? Before anyone answered, the cabin door creaked open on its own. Kanda took a step back. I don't like this. Jarman climbed the porch first. Stay behind me. Inside, everything was frozen in time. A table was set with dusty plates. An old rocking chair moved ever so slightly, though no one was sitting in it. Family photographs hung crooked on the walls. Addu picked one up and brushed away the dust. Guys. His voice shook. The others gathered around. The photograph showed 6 young friends standing beside an old SUV. They looked almost the same age as Jarman and his group. Battery frowned. That's weird. Then Malshi noticed something that made his face go pale. Look at the date. The back of the photograph read, August 14th, 1999. More than 25 years ago. Jarman looked closer. One of the boys in the picture had the same scar above his eyebrow that Jarman had. Another looked uncannily like Addu. Another resembled Battery. Punk stared silently. This can't be possible. Before anyone could speak again, bang. The cabin door slammed shut behind them. The lights from their flashlights flickered, and from somewhere upstairs, they heard slow, heavy footsteps moving toward the staircase.
The footsteps paused at the top of the stairs. No one stirred. Battery, always quick with a joke, stood frozen. The cabin bore silent testimony. Then, creak, one step, creak, another. Someone, or what appeared to be, was descending the stairs. Jarman grabbed a flashlight. Everyone stay behind me. Punk tackled a broken wooden chair leg. If it's a person, we'll deal with it. Kanda whispered, or do the smart thing and leave. Addu tried the front door. It resisted. Malshi joined him, pulling hard. No one answered. The door wouldn't budge. As footsteps grew louder, a shadow appeared on the wall. Battery gasped. I wish I knew how to drive better. The old man came into view. He wore a thick gray beard, tired eyes, and an old lantern in hand. He looked at the friends for several long seconds. Then he smiled. You shouldn't have come here. Jarman stepped forward. We're leaving, the door won't open. The old man glanced to the door. It only sticks when a storm's coming. As the rain pounded, the door opened. Battery stared. We've been fighting the thing for 5 minutes. Mr. Walker chuckled. It has a trick. The friends looked at each other, puzzled. I'm sorry, Malshi said politely. Jarman stepped to the door. We're leaving, Mr. Walker. It's not safe here. The old man glanced toward the entrance. I'm sorry, too. I can only stay for one night. Jarman glanced back at the cabin. What if the storm stays outside? Mr. Walker smiled. It'll be the last time. The friends talked quietly. Maybe they should have known better. Next year, they returned to the cabin. The 6 friends spent another night of friendship and laughter.
The pounding echoed through the cabin. Bang, bang, bang. Everyone jolted awake. Battery sat upright. Tell me, that's just the wind. Another violent knock shook the front door. Mr. Walker's calm expression disappeared. He stood quickly and blew out the oil lamp, leaving only the faint glow from the fireplace. Nobody makes a sound, he whispered. The room fell silent. Outside, a deep voice shouted, Walker, we know you're in there. Open the door. Jarman slowly peeked through a gap in the curtains. 3 black SUVs were parked outside. Several men in dark raincoats stood in the storm, their flashlights sweeping across the cabin. One of them carried what looked like a crowbar. They're serious, Jarman whispered. Mr. Walker looked at the 6 friends. I never wanted you to be involved in this. Involved in what? Addu asked. The old man took a slow breath. 25 years ago, my brother and I discovered an old hand-drawn map hidden in these mountains. It didn't lead to gold. It led to something even more valuable. What? Battery asked. Mr. Walker shook his head. I'll explain later. Right now, if those men find the map, innocent people will get hurt. The pounding grew louder. Crash. A window at the back of the cabin shattered. Punk grabbed a heavy fireplace poker. They're coming in. Jarman looked around the room. His heart raced, but his voice stayed steady. We're getting everyone out. Mr. Walker rushed to an old bookshelf and pulled out a dusty novel. The bookshelf slowly swung open, revealing a narrow stone passage hidden behind it. Battery's eyes widened. I knew old cabins had secret tunnels. Hurry, Mr. Walker urged. One by one, the friends slipped into the dark passage. Malshi was the last to enter. Before following, he grabbed his first aid kit without thinking. Battery laughed quietly, despite the danger. I swear, if the world ends, you'll still bring that bag. Malshi smiled. Someone has to keep you alive. The bookshelf closed just as the front door burst open upstairs. Heavy footsteps thundered into the cabin. Flashlights swept across the empty room. The friends stood motionless in the darkness, barely daring to breathe. The tunnel smelled of damp earth and old wood. It sloped downward beneath the mountain. After several minutes, they reached a rusted metal door. Mr. Walker pushed it open. Cold night air rushed in. They had emerged behind a waterfall, hidden from anyone at the cabin. For a moment, everyone thought they were safe. Then Jarman froze. Fresh tire tracks covered the muddy ground. Someone had already been there. A twig snapped behind them. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. A voice called out from only a few yards away. I found them. The flashlight beam locked onto the group. There they are, one of the men shouted. Without thinking, Jarman stepped in front of his friends. Run, he yelled. The 6 friends and Mr. Walker sprinted through the forest as rain poured down. Branches whipped at their faces, and the mountain trail became slick with mud. Addu pointed ahead. The bridge, an old wooden bridge stretched across a roaring river. Go, Jarman shouted. One by one, Kanda, Battery, Punk, Malshi, Addu, and finally, Mr. Walker crossed. Jarman was the last. The men chasing them stepped onto the bridge, just as the old ropes began to snap under the weight. Crack. The bridge collapsed into the raging river below. The pursuers were forced to stop on the opposite side. Everyone collapsed onto the ground, breathing heavily. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Mr. Walker reached into his jacket and pulled out a weathered leather envelope. This is the map. Jarman looked at it. So, what's so special about it? Mr. Walker smiled sadly. It doesn't lead to treasure. It leads to a hidden valley, where my late wife and I built a free mountain clinic years ago. We helped travelers, hikers, and families who couldn't afford medical care. After she passed away, I closed it and hid its location. Those men wanted to buy the land, tear everything down, and build a private resort. Malshi looked at the map with respect. They wanted money. Mr. Walker nodded, but my wife wanted people to have hope. The group stood in silence. Finally, Malshi smiled. Then let's reopen it. Battery laughed. I'll paint it. Punk grinned. I'll rebuild the cabins. Kanda nodded. I'll organize everything. Addu smiled. I'll bring people here. Jarman looked at the old man. And we'll protect it. Months later, the abandoned mountain clinic was alive again. Volunteers arrived from nearby towns. Families received treatment, hikers found shelter, and the place became a symbol of kindness. Malshi volunteered there every month, using his skills as a physiotherapist to help patients recover. Battery still made everyone laugh. Punk still took risks, though slightly fewer than before. Kanda was still teased by the group, and Jarman was still called Jarman Dog, because no matter what happened, he never stopped standing up for his friends. Addu, of course, was already planning the next road trip. As the 6 friends sat outside the restored clinic watching the sunset over the mountains, Jarman smiled. We came looking for an adventure. Battery laughed. And instead, we found a purpose. The 6 friends bumped their fists together. No matter where life took them next, they knew one thing for certain. Real brotherhood isn't measured by the roads you travel. It's measured by the people who never leave your side when the journey becomes difficult. The end.